Matthew chapter 5. When Jesus saw the crowds, he went up the mountain. He sat down, and his disciples gathered around him. Then he spoke and began to teach them. Fortunate are those who are poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Fortunate are those who mourn, they shall be comforted. Fortunate are the gentle, they shall possess the land. Fortunate are those who hunger and thirst for justice, for they shall be satisfied. Fortunate are the merciful, for they shall find mercy. Fortunate are those with pure hearts, for they shall see God. Fortunate are those who work for peace, they shall be called children of God. Fortunate are those who are persecuted for the cause of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Fortunate are you when people insult you and persecute you and speak all kinds of evil against you, because you are my followers. Be glad and joyful, for a great reward is kept for you in God. For that is how these people persecuted the prophets who lived before you. You are the salt of the earth, but if salt has lost its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It has become useless. It can only be thrown away and people will trample on it. You are the light of the world. A city built on a mountain cannot be hidden. No one lights a lamp and covers it. Instead, it is put on a lampstand where it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, your light must shine before others, so that they may see the good you do and praise your Father in heaven. Do not think that I have come to annul the law and the prophets. I have not come to annul them, but to fulfill them. I tell you this, as long as heaven and earth last, not the smallest letter or dot in the law will change until all is fulfilled. So then, whoever breaks the least important of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be the least in the kingdom of heaven. On the other hand, whoever obeys them and teaches others to do the same will be great in the kingdom of heaven. I tell you, if your sense of right and wrong is not keener than that of the lawyers and the Pharisees, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. You have heard that it was said to our people in the past, do not commit murder. Anyone who murders will have to face trial. But now I tell you, whoever gets angry with a brother or sister will have to face trial. Whoever insults a brother or sister is liable to be brought before the council. Whoever calls a brother or sister fool is liable of being thrown into the fire of hell. So, if you are about to offer your gift at the altar, and you remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar. Go at once and make peace with your brother, and then come back and offer your gift to God. Don't forget this. Be reconciled with your opponent quickly when you are together on the way to court. Otherwise, he will turn you over to the judge, who will hand you over to the police, who will put you in jail. There you will stay until you have paid the last penny. You have heard that it was said, do not commit adultery. But I tell you this, anyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart. So, if your right eye causes you to sin, pluck it out and throw it away. It is much better for you to lose a part of your body than to have your whole body thrown into hell. If your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose a part of your body than to have your whole body thrown into hell. It was also said, anyone who divorces his wife must give her a written notice of divorce. But what I tell you is this: if a man divorces his wife, except in the case of unlawful union, he causes her to commit adultery. And the man who marries a divorced woman commits adultery. You have also heard that people were told in the past, "Do not break your oath. An oath sworn to the Lord must be kept." But I tell you this, do not take oaths. Do not swear by the heavens, for they are God's throne, nor by the earth, because it is his footstool, nor by Jerusalem, because it is the city of the great King. Do not even swear by your head, because you cannot make a single hair white or black. Let your yes mean yes, and your no mean no. Anything else you say comes from the evil one. You have heard that it was said, "An eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth." But I tell you this, do not oppose evil with evil. If someone slaps you on your right cheek, turn and offer the other. If someone sues you in court for your shirt, give him your coat as well. If someone forces you to go 1 mile, go 2 miles with him. Give when asked, and do not turn your back on anyone who wants to borrow from you. You have heard that it was said, "Love your neighbor and do not do good to your enemy." But this I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be children of your Father in heaven. For he makes his sun rise on both the wicked and the good, and he gives rain to both the just and the unjust. If you love those who love you, what is special about that? Do not even tax collectors do as much? And if you are friendly only to your friends, what is so exceptional about that? Do not even the pagans do as much? As for you, be perfect, as your heavenly Father is perfect. Matthew chapter 6. Be careful not to make a show of your good deeds before people. If you do so, you do not gain anything from your Father in heaven. When you give something to the poor, do not have it trumpeted before you, as do those who want to be noticed in the synagogues and in the streets in order to be praised by people. I assure you, they have their reward. If you give something to the poor, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your gift remains really secret. Your Father who sees what is kept secret will reward you. When you pray, do not be like those who want to be noticed. They love to stand and pray in the synagogues or on street corners in order to be seen by everyone. I assure you, they have their reward. When you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is with you in secret. And your Father who sees what is kept secret will reward you. When you pray, do not use a lot of words as the pagans do, for they believe that the more they say, the more chance they have of being heard. Do not be like them. Your Father knows what you need even before you ask Him. This then is how you should pray. Our Father in heaven, holy be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as we forgive those who are in debt to us. Do not bring us to the test, but deliver us from the evil one. If you forgive others their wrongdoings, your Father in heaven will also forgive yours. If you do not forgive others, then your Father will not forgive you. When you fast, do not put on a miserable face as to the hypocrites. They put on a gloomy face so that people can see they are fasting. I tell you this, they have been paid in full already. When you fast, wash your face and make yourself look cheerful, because you are not fasting for appearances or for people, but for your Father who sees beyond appearances. And your Father who sees what is kept secret will reward you. Do not store up treasures for yourself here on earth, where moth and rust destroy it, and where thieves can steal it. Store up treasures for yourself with God, where no moth or rust can destroy it, nor thief come and steal it. For where your treasure is, there also will your heart be. The lamp of the body is the eye. If your eyes are sound, your whole body will be full of light. If your eyes are diseased, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light in you is darkness, how great is that darkness? No one can serve two masters, for he will either hate one and love the other, or he will be loyal to the first and look down on the second. You cannot at the same time serve God and money. Therefore, I tell you not to be worried about food and drink for yourself, or about clothes for your body. Is not life more important than food? And is not body more important than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow, they do not harvest, and do not store food in barns. And yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not more worthy than they are? Can any of you add a day to your life by worrying about it? Why are you so worried about your clothes? Look at how the flowers of the fields grow. They do not toil or spin, but I tell you that not even Solomon in all his glory was clothed like one of these. If God so clothes the grass in the field, which blooms today and is to be burned in an oven tomorrow, how much more will He clothe you? What little faith you have! Do not worry and say, what are we going to eat? What are we going to drink? Or what shall we wear? The pagans busy themselves with such things, but your heavenly Father knows that you need them all. Set your heart first on the kingdom and righteousness of God, and all these things will also be given to you. Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Matthew chapter 7. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. In the same way you judge others, you will be judged, and the measure you use for others will be used for you. Why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye and not see the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, "Come, let me take the speck from your eye," as long as that plank is in your own? Hypocrite, remove the plank out of your own eye. Then you will see clearly to remove the speck out of your brother's eye. Do not give what is holy to the dogs, or throw your pearls before pigs. They might trample on them and then turn on you and tear you to pieces. Ask, and you will receive. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened. For everyone who asks receives. Whoever seeks finds. And to him who knocks, the door will be opened. Would any of you give a stone to your son when he asks for bread? Or give him a snake when he asks for a fish? However bad you may be, you know how to give good things to your children. How much more then will your Father in heaven give good things to those who ask him? So, do to others whatever you would that others do to you. There you have the law and the prophets. Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many go that way. How narrow is the gate that leads to life, and how rough the road. Few there are who find it. Beware of false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing, but inside they are voracious wolves. You will recognize them by their fruits. Do you ever pick grapes from thorn bushes, or figs from thistles? A good tree always produces good fruit. A rotten tree produces bad fruit. A good tree cannot produce bad fruit, and a rotten tree cannot bear good fruit. Any tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. So then you will know them by their fruit. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my heavenly Father. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not speak in your name? Did we not cast out devils and perform many miracles in your name? Then I will tell them openly, I have never known you. Away from me, you evil people. Therefore, anyone who hears these words of mine and acts according to them is like a wise man who built his house on rock. The rain poured down, the rivers flooded, and the wind blew and struck that house, but it did not collapse, because it was built on rock. But anyone who hears these words of mine and does not act accordingly is like a fool who built his house on sand. The rain poured, the rivers flooded, and the wind blew and struck that house. It collapsed, and what a terrible collapse that was. When Jesus had finished this discourse, the crowds were struck by the way he taught, because he taught with authority, unlike their teachers of the law.